Today's video is sponsored to you by EA. We're giving you Lineups 101. We're going to talk everything from creating your lineup, building your lineup, adding abilities and X factors and theme teams. Let's get it. What's going on, everybody out there? This is Popular Stranger, and we are back at you again today with another Madden 25 Ultimate Team video. In today's video, we're talking lineup building 101. We're going to go over everything you need to know and what you need to do to build the best lineup for your MUT 25 squad. We're talking abilities, X factors, theme teams. We got a lot to cover, so let's go ahead and jump right on into it. EA totally revamped the lineup screen and a bunch of features that you can use now to build your lineup, and it's really good. Like, there's a lot of things that are going to make this much simpler and a lot faster. So let's go through it. Right now, we're taking a look at my active lineup, my current lineup, but I want to start from scratch and show you, number one, how to build multiple lineups and how to create an empty lineup. So over to the left, you got a bunch of different options here. We're going to go down to change active lineup, and you get a few different options. So right now, this is my active lineup, and we named it Goons. I also have a kind of a scrap lineup that I built to start the year. But what we're going to do is go to Create New, which is down at the bottom. You hit triangle on PlayStation, Y on Xbox. We can copy our active lineup and just kind of make changes to it, or we can build a completely empty lineup, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Once we do that, we can go ahead and rename it whatever we want. I'm just going to use lineup number 2 by default, and now we have just a blank slate where we can go in and add players. And normally this would be an incredibly tedious process, but EA made it a lot quicker this year with the new features. Now, if you ever want to go back to a different lineup, you're going to go back to that change active lineup screen. From here, you can create another one if you want, or I can go back to my Goon squad and boom, there it is. It loads up really fast. This is great for multiple theme teams. If you have a team for solo challenges versus maybe head-to-head seasons versus MUT champs, there's just so many different routes that you can go with this, and they give you the tools to do so. So let's go back to the empty lineup. Now, if you just want to get this done extremely fast and very few button presses, you're going to go to generate best lineup. But this right here has always been a feature, but they added on top of it, right? So I can go best team overall, but if I use my directional pad, I can build the best Philadelphia Eagles team. I can build the best ultimate preseason theme team if I want. And as I continue to press right on my D-pad, I believe it's giving me the teams that I have the most items from first. I think that's why the Eagles popped up. I'm pretty sure I have like 8 or 9 Chargers players in my binder, so I think that's why Chargers is popping up next. So this is a really cool feature that we've never seen before, and it basically just gives you all of the theme teams and possibilities available to choose from. So for this example, we're going to go best team overall, but you can even do sides of the ball. So you got full team, you got offense, you got defense. It even includes the special teams tab, the specialist tab, and we'll go back to full team. If you're not starting with an empty lineup, you can have it toggled between filling up the empty slots on or off, but we're going to keep it pretty basic right here. We're just going to go full team, best team overall, and generate. So now this is pulling all of the items from my binder and assembling to create the best team possible based on overall. Now, if you go out and purchase an item off the auction house, you complete a set, you complete a solo challenge that gives you an item that is potentially better than somebody in your active lineup right now, this overall improvement section will actually light up. And I'm going to go back to an older lineup that I had saved here, and you can see overall improvements. It's got 31 of them. And I'm assuming this is telling you all the positions here, yes, that would be considered upgrades. You can see there's a little icon to the left of like Christian McCaffrey, or under Christian McCaffrey and Avery Williams, CJ Stroud, because it notices that we probably have a better quarterback than him right now. And if we go ahead and select that one specifically, it's going to bring us directly to that position. So it's more so an indicator to let you know, hey, you got players with higher overalls that are not in your lineup right now. Do you want to go ahead and add them? So continuing to look at everything over on the left here, you can see all of your X factors and abilities right on this screen. Early in the year right now, at the moment that I'm recording this video, there's not too many players that get abilities or X Factors, but if you ever wanted to add them, you're going to do it directly from here, and you can see over on defense, and by the way, the limit right now during Season 1 is 3 ability points on offense, 3 ability points on defense, 3 on special teams. Each ability is assigned an ability point value, and we will likely see that number increase as the year goes on, but the more overpowered or better abilities that become obtainable by certain players, you know, those prices, you might see abilities that are 2, 3, 4, and 5 ability points, so it's going to be kind of a risk-reward factor to be activating them. So the one player that I do have on my team that has both an ability and an X Factor, and this is going to go for all Season 1 champions, Ray Lewis, Hines Ward, Christian McCaffrey, Max Crosby. Once you are able to upgrade them to the 85 overall level, they get access to those abilities and X Factors. This is where you would see them, and you can see there's a number and an X Factor symbol slightly to the left of Ray Lewis's name. So if I go back over to this tile for abilities and X Factors, you can go ahead and select it, and then as I tab through or page through using the D-pad to select the various players on my team, I can either activate or deactivate abilities. Again, because we only have one player right now, it's a little bit tough to mimic, but if you look towards the bottom left, there's buttons that you can press. So square on PlayStation, X on Xbox is going to deactivate the X Factor on Ray Lewis. He's going to continue to have his ability, which right now is Stonewall, which costs me 1 AP out of the 3 available on defense. If I wanted to deactivate that, I can hit X on PlayStation, which would be A on Xbox, and that will totally take it away. So now, if you look at that X Factors and abilities screen, and by the way, when I generated best lineup, it activated all of that for me automatically. If you wanted to, and you look to the left now, it says 0 of 3 X Factors, 0 of 3 abilities on defense. If I wanted to go in and activate those, I'm going to go ahead and select that tile again. I'm going to go to the player that I want to activate. In this case, it's Ray Lewis, and we're going to choose the Activate Player button, which is X on PlayStation or A on Xbox. This also by default activates the X Factor plus the ability. So if you want to just remove the X Factor completely but keep the ability, you have that Deactivate X Factor button. There's a big change to team chemistries and theme teams this year, and that tile is also going to be on the left under the X Factors and abilities. I love the visual of it here. You can see that I have 10 Eagles players right now activated in this lineup, 3 Dolphins, 3 Panthers, 3 Texans. So what is the point of having theme teams or team chemistries? Well, the more players from a given team that you have activated on your team, the better boosts that they get. And as I scroll through the teams over here on my left, you can see that it shows the players that are part of those theme teams. Going back to the Eagles, take a look at my offensive line. Isaac Seumalo at left guard, Lane Johnson at right tackle to the left of their name. You can see that indicator. It's like an up arrow. It's showing that they are getting boosts because of the theme team. Each theme team boost has a tier, and it's generally going to be 5 players from that theme team. So to get to tier 1 on any of these ones that I'm at tier 0, for like the Texans, Panthers, Dolphins, I am 2 players away from getting to tier 1, which would provide me my first boost. Because I have 10 players with the Eagles, I'm up to tier 2. And if you select any one of these, you're going to do that by pressing the start button. If you look at the bottom left, it tells you exactly what each button does in this scenario. It kind of goes away and comes back, but that's how you're going to view the chemistry details. This shows you exactly what's getting boosted. So for tier 1, we're going to get +1 to acceleration. That's 5 Eagles theme team players in my lineup. Tier 2 is going to give me +1 to strength. Tier 3, which is 15 players, is going to be +1 to change of direction. And the final tier as of right now, I don't know if this will change throughout the year, but as of right now, Tier 4, which is going to be 20 items or 20 players, will give you +1 to speed, which is probably the most important attribute that you're going to be looking for on your player. So basically getting 20 of one specific theme team is going to give you +1 to acceleration, strength, change of direction, and speed. Now, players who have played for multiple teams usually have access to multiple team chemistries, and the way that you're going to be able to change that, there's various ways that you can do it, but specifically right within the lineup screen, which to me is probably the easiest route to go, is you're going to simply hit triangle or Y on Xbox, and it's going to give you a couple different options. You can compare that player to other players on your team. You can remove them from that very specific position. You can remove them completely from your lineup. We're going to go to the upgrade tab, and Isaac Seumalo will be a really good example here. And if you go down to the chemistries and positions section, he plays right now for the Steelers. He played for the Eagles, so I do have the ability to switch that. Now, if I put Steelers on him, we're now going to drop down to 9 of the Eagles players, and we would lose that tier 2 boost. So again, you can see them over to the right, the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 boosts that you can get, but that's how you're going to change team chemistries on any player who potentially has played for multiple teams. And there will be exceptions throughout the year. The season 1 field pass players like Ray Lewis are a really good example. If I go to the upgrade option for him and go down to his chemistries, he has never played for the Eagles before, but he's a special item that's in the game right now. And all season 1 field pass champions, the ones that I named earlier, Max Crosby, CMC, just for example, they have access to all 32 team chemistries. Continuing to look at everything to the left on this ability screen, strategy items are really important. They're going to provide additional boosts to your team on offense, on defense, in various ways. There are a total of 6 strategy items that you can use right now in MUT 25. So the very first slot is going to be for offense, and if you have a strategy item that boosts anything on offense, it will let you know on the front of the item. So adding this one, the strong arm, and if you look under it, I know the text is a little small, you can see QB. That's the position that this one will impact. So this is going to add +1 throw power and deep throw accuracy to all the quarterbacks within my lineup. Now, there's a fast way and a long way to continue to add strategy items or change strategy items on your team. So we can always go to the back option here, right? And then we go down or under the offensive slot. And now this is going to be the defensive strategy slot. We can again go in and add one of these. If you look, it tells you what it boosts in what position. So this one right here is going to give me +1 to man coverage and +1 to press to all the cornerbacks on my team. Or we could go +1 man and +1 zone to all of the cornerbacks on our team. We're going to go ahead and select that one. From this screen specifically, if you hold down L2 on your PlayStation controller or left trigger on Xbox, you can actually sort through all 6 of the strategy item slots directly from here. So I can go back to offense, I can go down to the next one, which is going to be program. This is going to be specifically based on promos that we get throughout the year. At this very moment, there are none that you can activate. Team affinity. Remember how we talked about getting to tier 1, 2, 3, and 4 to build a theme team? Well, there's a team affinity strategy slot that will help you get there. And as you can see, we can add either Bears or Buccaneers. That would count towards that theme team count. Right now, these silver items, and it's hard to see, these are going to be ×1. This green Bears one, it's actually a ×2. There's a small little ×2 directly under the Bears logo, kind of in the middle center there. Middle right, I should say. So if I wanted some help to getting to 20 Eagles, I would want to go out and look for the Eagles strategy item that boosts them up. I'm just going to activate the Bears one for an example here. Now, the next tab is going to be your coach tab. Coaches actually provide additional boosts as well. So we have +1 pass blocking if we activate Doug Peterson to all of our players. If we want to activate Dennis Allen, we get +1 block shedding and hit power to all of our players. So we can go ahead and activate that. And the final one is going to be hybrid, which usually allows you to choose any of your silver strategy items. So the ones that are already in use can't be used again. But if I wanted to go ahead and add this +1 zone coverage to all my free safeties, I could do that. Or we have +1 throw power to our quarterbacks. We can go ahead and activate that. And if I back out now and look over to our left, all of these are now going to be populated. We were able to do that all from that screen. That's a really good new addition. And not only can you do that with strategy items, you can also do that with players in your lineup. So we've already generated our best lineup available, but if there's something maybe you want to tweak that you don't like that best lineup available did, you can go in and simply swap out a player on your own. Or oftentimes you may need to remove a player from your lineup because you want to go ahead and post that player on the auction house, because you maybe plan on making a new upgrade. So a couple different things you can do. Again, hitting triangle on PlayStation, Y, and Xbox, we can go from remove from position or remove from lineup. So if I want to get Matthew Stafford out of here completely, I'm going to go remove from lineup, but now you'll see that the quarterback 1 slot is open and we need to put somebody in there. It also now shows that we can make that overall improvement because of the change we just made. If I just simply want to add a new quarterback in here, I'm going to select that position over to the right of the screen. These are are all of the players that I can put into that slot. We're going to put Andy Dalton as our starting quarterback now. In a lot of situations, that's not going to make much sense when we have a CJ Stroud who's an 80 overall versus Andy Dalton who's a 75 overall. There is a quick swap feature that you can use by pressing square on PlayStation or X on Xbox, and you're going to see now there's kind of a swap indicator. If I press down on my D-pad, CJ Stroud moves up, Andy Dalton moves down, and I hit square again. That's going to complete that swap. You can do that with every position. If I want to move Christian McCaffrey all the way down to running back number 3, Devin Achane pushes up to number 2, Chase Brown goes from 3 to 2, Achane goes 2 to 1, Chase Brown goes from 3 to 2, and McCaffrey goes from 1 down to 3. I can move him up now here. So with that swap feature, it's a really quick way to make adjustments within your lineup without having to select a position, then go over here to select the card, and then back out to see your changes within the lineup. And it doesn't stop there. Remember how we swapped between all of our strategy items? You can do that through all of the players and positions on your team. So we hold down L2 on PlayStation. If you look towards your upper left or left trigger on Xbox, we can now go through our quarterback, halfback, fullback, wide receiver, and make changes directly from this screen. So if I want to swap my wide receivers around a little bit, we now have access to all of those. You can see towards the bottom left, we can tab through or page through up and down with our D-pad to go through our different wide receivers. If I want to take Amari Cooper out of the lineup, I simply select him and I go select Darnell Washington, who's going to play out of position. And once you make that change, there's 3 more additional options. Insert and shift players is going to take Darnell Washington, put him at wide receiver number 1, and then move everybody down. So whoever's at wide receiver 5 is going to be eliminated from the lineup for the moment because everybody is shifting down. Substituting this position is simply just going to swap Amari Cooper for Darnell Washington, and substitute everywhere is going to play in part with the specialist screen, which we'll talk about in a moment. But if I had Amari Cooper as my slot receiver, not only would it change Darnell Washington to wide receiver number 1, it would also change him to our slot receiver on the specialist screen. So I just want to show you what insert and shift players looks like. This is a really cool feature. If you get a brand new wide receiver who's the best on your team, but you don't really want to get rid of your other wide receivers, you would then be able to shift all those players down, but still keep your highest overall player at the wide receiver position at wide receiver number 1. And you can see the change that was made now. T. Higgins gets moved to 5, Hester to 4, Hines Ward to 3, and Amari Cooper to 1 or 2. And remember the quick swap feature that we used on the lineup screen? We can do it from here. Square on PlayStation, X on Xbox. We can simply make that swap right there. If we wanted to move Darnell Washington down to maybe number 5 there, you can see the changes that you can make really fast with these new features that EA added. And again, you can see all of your offensive positions right here by hitting R1 or L1 on PlayStation, R1, our right trigger on, right bumper on Xbox. I don't use Xbox that often, so I forget sometimes. I can now go right over to my defense. I have all of my defensive positions here. I can go to special teams. All of my special teams are here. Specialists are all right here, which we're going to talk about in detail in a moment. And it also works with all of your playbooks and visuals. So I'm sure you're pretty clear with the offensive lineup screen, the defensive lineup screen. The special teams is going to be a little bit unique in that you can select your kick returners and your punt returners, your kicker, and then your kickoff specialist. You usually want to have the player with the highest kick power as your kickoff specialist guy. The long snapper honestly doesn't matter too much, but you can usually select the best player available. And I think we've kind of gone through how to select players or change out players, but you're going to do the same thing with this. We'll finish the video with the specialist screen because this is a way to, I don't want to say manipulate your lineup, but it's a way to kind of organize your lineup based on your play style or scheme that you might run. So you have a third down running back, which is primarily going to be in shotgun running plays and obviously third down running plays. You have a power back slot, which a lot of times if you're in under center formations is going to be the running back in those. And it's not terrible to just put the same player in both slots. This ensures that Christian McCaffrey is going to be on the field pretty much all the time unless he's fatigued and needs a substitution. Slot receiver is going to be exactly what it is, the slot receiver in most formations, and you do have a backup here as well in case fatigue plays in for both the third down back, power halfback, and slot receiver. On defense, it's going to work a lot of the same. You have your slot cornerback, so if you're in a nickel formation, Rasul Douglas would be that inside cornerback. If you're in a dollar or dime formation, Troy Vincent would be the other slot cornerback. when there's 4 cornerbacks on the field. Rush right end is the person that will be the defensive end on the right side of your defensive line. Rush left end is going to be the same exact thing. This is a way to get outside linebackers on the defensive line. So I have a player like Justin Hollins, who's a right outside linebacker. If I want him on the defensive line, we can go ahead and choose substitute this position. And now when we load into a game and we're in a formation on defense, despite him being an outside linebacker and a right outside linebacker, he's going to be on our defensive line at left end. Rush defensive tackle is going to be the people who play in the middle of your defense. If it's a 3 down lineman formation, RDT1, or rush defensive tackle 1, is going to primarily be there, and then RDT2 is going to be if you're in like a nickel formation where you have 2 defensive tackles, and you can put defensive ends in this slot. So if you have a defensive end who's, you know, kind of big and kind of slow, but they'll probably be more beneficial to your defense playing in the middle of the defensive line, you can go ahead and put them in there, and that's how you're going to do it on the specialist screen. And then sub linebacker are basically your middle linebackers, and you do have the ability, as you can see here, to put free safeties or strong safeties there. So I have Ife Melifanu, Syracuse legend by the way, who's a free safety. Instead of having him play a high coverage safety because he's really tall and he's really fast, I'm going to play him at sub linebacker where he's more in the middle of the field, and I can use or control him because of that speed and that height. Now you are going to give up some things when you use safeties as linebackers, like block shedding and stopping the run might be a little bit more difficult, but when you have players like a Cam Chancellor who's really good at stuff like that, he's a good kind of box safety. This is again a way to manipulate your lineup, or just set your lineup to your play style, and a lot of that is done from the specialist screen. So that's lineup building 101, the ins and outs, everything you guys need to know. If there's anything I didn't cover, which I don't think I missed anything, but if there is, and you got any questions, leave it down below in the comment section. And thank you for watching. My name is Popular Stranger. I'm out. Peace.